All right. Hi, guys. Today we are going to be talking about characters for our daily drama check-in. Now, characters are things that we work on all the time as actors, but we're going to talk about them in the context of a story. And I think this story is probably one that not many of you are going to be familiar with. This one is going to be called The Musicians of Bremen, and I'll read that in a second. But first of all, I want to read to you our learning target today. Our learning target is I can identify characters in a fable story and develop unique traits for them as an actor. So there are going to be 4 different characters in this story. There's going to be a donkey, there's going to be a dog, and there's going to be a cat and a rooster. Then there's going to be some burglar bad guys too. But with these 4 main characters that we're talking about, we're going to need to identify some traits about them and then turn that into acting, okay? So mostly while I'm reading this story, I'm going to try to use my voice. So remember the things that we can do with our voice that we talked about with puppetry. So we can have a high pitch or a low pitch. We can talk really fast or we can talk really slow. That's our tempo. Or we can have a volume, which is loud or quiet, right? So let's begin with our story. The Musicians of Bremen. So here's the pictures. That's the farmer with his donkey. And there's the donkey with the dog. Oh, also, when we get to the rooster, in this story, it's kind of an older version of this story. And so they call it a cockerel or a cock, but I'm just going to replace those words with rooster since that's what we call it in our present day. Okay? In a small German village near the city of Bremen lived a donkey who worked for a miller. Day after day and year after year, he carried heavy sacks of corn to be ground at the mill. But as the donkey grew older, he could no longer manage the huge sacks, and his legs collapsed under him. He was sure that the miller would soon get rid of him, so he decided to run away. Now, the donkey had always liked music, and he thought he could earn his living by playing in a town band. So, one sunny morning, he set off down the road towards the great city of Bremen. He had not gone far when he met a dog lying at the side of the road. Hee-haw, hee-haw. Hello, old dog, he said. And what's the matter with you? Oh, I'm too old these days to hunt foxes with the other hounds, panted the dog. My master is planning to get rid of me, I'm sure, and so I've run away. Hee-haw, hee-haw, why don't you come with me to Bremen, suggested the donkey. I'm going to join the town band. If I play the drum, you could play the trumpet. So the dog agreed, and the 2 of them set off down the road to Bremen. All right, I'll show you the pictures. So there's the donkey and the dog, and they meet the cat. And then this picture is them meeting the rooster. And that one is them all taken off. All right, story continues. An hour or so later, they saw a cat sitting by the roadside looking very miserable. Hee-haw, hee-haw. Hello, old pussy, said the donkey. And what's the matter with you? Oh, I'm getting old, replied the cat. My teeth are not as sharp as they were, and it's hard for me to catch mice. My mistress, meow, is planning to get rid of me, I'm sure, and so I've run away. Meow. Hee-haw, hee-haw. Why don't you come with us to Bremen? Asked the donkey. We're going to join the town band. Since you're a cat, why don't you come and play the fiddle? So the cat agreed, and the 3 of them set off down the road to Bremen. A few miles further on, the little group came to a farmyard. A fine rooster was sitting on the gatepost, crowing away loudly. Hee-haw, hee-haw. Hello, old rooster, said the donkey. What's the matter with you? It's a bit late in the day for crowing. Oh, I'm old, explained the rooster. I keep oversleeping in the mornings. The farmer is so angry. I'm sure he's planning to get rid of me. Hee-haw, hee-haw. Why don't you run away with us to Bremen? Replied the donkey. We're going to join the town band. I will play the drum. The dog here will play the trumpet. The cat will play the fiddle. You have a fine voice. Why not come and sing with us? So the cock agreed, and the four of them set off down the road to Bremen. Well, it turned out that Bremen was a good deal further than any of them had thought, and as darkness began to fall, there were still no sign of the city. Oh, I think I'm a bit too old for such adventures, moaned the dog. Oh, and I'm very hungry. I'm feeling much more tired than when I was chasing mice, grumbled the cat. Meow. I'm sure it was warmer in the farmyard in the evening, sighed the rooster. But the donkey said, hee-haw, hee-haw, look, there's a farm over in the woods. If we sneak up quietly, we can snuggle down in the barn. There may even be some food. So the four weary travelers crept up to the farmhouse, and the donkey peered through the window. What can you see? Hissed the cat. Meow. Oh, here's the window. So this is them looking in the window. And this is what they see in the window. Okay. Hee-haw, hee-haw. There's a table loaded with food and drink, whispered the donkey. But there are three evil-looking men around it. I think they must be robbers. The four friends were much too hungry to give up the chance of a meal. So they crouched down out of sight and worked out a plan to frighten the robbers. Then, very quickly and quietly, the donkey stood up with his front hooves on the windowsill. The dog leaped onto its back. The cat climbed onto the dog's back, and the rooster flew onto the cat's back. When the donkey waggled his ears, they all began making as much noise as they possibly could. Hee-haw, hee-haw, ruff, 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 row, 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 row. The donkey brayed, the dog barked, the cat meowed, and the rooster crowed, all at the top of their voices. You never heard such a terrible racket. Then the four friends all toppled over and crashed right through the window into the room. The robbers were so scared, they rushed out of the house and disappeared into the woods. So the donkey, the dog, the cat, and the rooster sat up at the table and ate an enormous meal. They ate and drank until they were fit to burst. Then they put out the light and settled down to sleep. The donkey lay on some straw in the farmyard. The dog stretched out by the kitchen door. The rooster flew onto the chimney pot, and the cat curled up by the fire. Tired and full, they were all soon snoring away and dreaming of life in Bremen. Meanwhile, the robbers had seen the light go out. Oh, we must have been mad to let ourselves be frightened like that, said their leader, and he ordered one of his men to take a closer look at the farm. The robber crept up silently and climbed in through the broken window, then slipped into the kitchen to light a candle. He saw the cat's round eyes glowing in the dark, and, thinking they were coals burning in the fire, he bent down to light the candle. But when he poked it toward the cat's eye, she leaped up at him, hissing and spitting and scratching his face. The man backed away in horror, but as he fled through the door, the dog jumped up and bit him on the leg. Ah! He hobbled across the yard, and the donkey gave him a great kick with his hooves. Then the cock flew down from the chimney pot and screeched, all around his head. The poor robber had never been so scared in all his life, and he bolted back to the woods. Well, demanded the leader, what happened? There's a witch in there. She spat at me and scratched me with her claws, and there's a dwarf who stabbed me in the leg with a dagger, and in the yard there's a big monster who hit me with his club, and a great bat who screeched around my ears. I wouldn't go there again if you paid me 1,000 gold coins. After that terrible night, the robbers never went near the house again, and the 4 friends decided that they would never leave it. So they never did reach Bremen or join the town band. Here are those last pictures. So there's the chaos that's happening with the robber. And here is a little bit more of it when the rooster gets at him. And there's the donkey and the rooster and the dog and the cat, all happily ever after. So, talking about characters, if you were going to put this on as a play or a puppet show, then voice acting is going to be really important. So, using sounds and voice and like animal noises to portray these characters is really going to help those characters come alive. And another thing that you want to think about with the characters are their characteristics. So, a characteristic is a trait. Let me just read you the definition we've got on the slide. So a character is a person, animal, or other object that has a part in the story or script. And when we're talking about objects, we're not talking about props. We're talking about like Beauty and the Beast, where the clock is a person. It's like he's got a personality, he speaks, he has lines. That's what we mean when we talk about other objects as characters. We're not talking about like, I have a pen, and that's not a character, you guys know that. So so that's characters in a story or a theater piece. And the characteristics of those characters are the traits specific to each character that show what kind of a person they are. So are they honest? Are they a liar? Are they scared? Are they brave? Are they strong? Are they weak? Things like that. So you've got to identify the characters first, and then you've got to decide what are their characteristics. And if the story or script doesn't tell you those things, oftentimes they will. But if the story or script doesn't tell you those things, you have to look in the actions that happen in the story. You have to look at the dialogue that each one says. And sometimes you just have to make it up. For example, it didn't really give me anything about the cat. She was just old, and it said that she was a she in the story. So I knew that she was a girl and that she was an old lady cat. And so I tried to give her a voice that kind of reflected that. But I also kind of tried to make her a little bit of a scaredy cat, but not like all the way. I really did that with the rooster though. I tried to make the rooster be like a little bit of a scaredy rooster. So but the donkey was always brave. He was always brave and strong and willing to keep going. So even when everyone else was discouraged, he was always brave. And the dog, he was just an old yeller kind of dog. He was just like, oh, he was just a whiny dog, right? So those are attributes that I gave to the characters to set them apart and make them unique from each other. But if you're the actor portraying these characters, you get to decide how those characters are made. So first of all, we identify the characters, and then second of all, we develop their unique traits for them. So being actors, we develop those traits for them. And we can do that by gleaning what the characters are like in the story, and also just by choosing. Actors make choices. That's what we do. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the story.